Welcome back, family and friends. Today I start a new series, Overcoming Fear. In this series I will cover the aspects of the human condition that it invokes most fear. Today we talk about a big one, depression. Clinical depression is defined as a mental health disorder characterized by persistently depressed moods or loss of interest in activities, causing significant impairment in daily life. Possible causes include a combination of biological, psychological, and social sources of distress. According to the CDC, as much as 7 to 15% of the American population suffers with depression. That's at the time 16 to 40 million people, with the majority being women. However, that's a number of reported or confirmed cases. The actual numbers may be more concerning in our mundane society of eat, work, and play. Not to mention the day-to-day bouts of depressive thoughts that the average person may entertain. I must confess, the thought of it is alien to me. I don't think I've had more than one depressed episode in my entire life. All that comes to mind was how I felt after surviving the Category 5 hurricane that devastated my childhood home and home island. For me, it took a catastrophic event to entertain depressive thoughts. An easy thing you can imagine when facing apocalyptic realities. It was truly a one-day-at-a-time experience, and being young and having limited information didn't help the situation. I couldn't Google or YouTube my way out of the scenario. There was no subject matter expert that I could talk to. It was truly a test of wits and perseverance, not to mention lots and lots of praying. That, however, is me. As bad as it gets, I always look forward. I never ponder on the past or mull over any regrets. Typically, a good night's sleep will reset my mood, no matter what kind of day I've had. Maybe I haven't had such a bad day in my life so far to where I've fallen into depression. Which brings me to my point. It is not in any way something a person can avoid. Like death itself, depression can hit anyone at any time in their lives. For some folks, however, anything can trigger that depressive state of mind. They can look at a positive scenario and get depressed over that. And unlike death, however, I do believe that depression can be overcome. It is a simple concept to grasp if one can allow themselves the moment of mental clarity. My humble perspective is formed on two logical values. The first is that all of life is temporary, and the second is that all of life is a risk. And when you realize these and accept these values, you understand that life and death are codependent on their existence and eventuality. The moment you begin living your life, you have conclusively begun the process of death. Think about it. Everything is out to kill you in some form or fashion, or gently put, consume your energy. It is this mental programming that is the foundation, in my opinion, for the fortitude needed to overcome any form of depression. Simply put, what you believe, you manifest. The great Bruce Lee once said, "Don't speak negatively about yourself, not even as a joke." Your body doesn't know the difference. Words are energy and cast spells. That's why it's called spelling. Change the way you speak about yourself, and you can change your life. What you are not changing, you are also choosing. See, Bruce Lee understood the power of programming the brain. He believed in it so much that his logic won't allow himself to even joke about himself negatively. Because the subconscious, he believed, would not be able to tell the difference. See, that is the result of a disciplined attitude and very experienced mind. You see, it has always been widely accepted that wisdom comes with age. I happen to believe that is wrong. Wisdom comes with experience and exposure. This is why even though Bruce Lee died at the ripe age of 32, his words of wisdom stands the test of time like any other. So you have told yourself you're depressed or been clinically diagnosed with a problem. maybe even on some type of medication. You may feel hopeless in the abyss of the feeling, the condition of being depressed. The key word, in my opinion, to overcoming depression is affecting change. In this case, thoughts of negative needs to change into positive. Accepting the logic of life and death, I believe, is the beginning of that change. One might argue, well, Coach AB, that in itself is enough to trigger a depressive state of mind. And they may be right. However, according and accepting this logic for truth goes hand in hand with another fact: the lottery of life. If all of life is a risk and it is all temporary, then it must be the grandest opportunity in the universe. That against all the odds of not being existent, that even for a brief moment of 32 years, like the infamous Bruce Lee or Jesus Christ, for example, is a cause for celebration for winning the largest lottery in the universe. See, what changes now is your perspective of life. You realize how precious the honor is to be alive. At the extreme, you become driven to make the most of every second. And at the least, you appreciate every moment, good and bad, that life throws at you. See, now you know why starving children in third world countries still smile. Despite their imminent physical suffering, their souls rejoice in the opportunity of life. They inherently and instinctively comprehend that all is temporary and that all is a risk. With that said, family and friends, clinical depression is a serious thing. I'm not a doctor and cannot begin to diagnose serious mental illness. For this, help is needed, and I would be the first to recommend seeing a specialist on the subject. However, I do believe that ultimately we are each solely responsible for our thoughts and eventual actions. Because to the grave, that is all we can truly take with us. I hope I've been able to shed some light on this dynamic mental obstacle. Please stay tuned for my next episode on the series, Managing Anxiety. Until then, as always, family and friends, may you have a meaningful and purposeful week. God bless.